Hey everyone, welcome back to the Small Town Nerd Podcast. I'm your host Brian, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like trash. I feel like I just got stomped on by a herd of cattle, man. My son, who is going back to school this year, he started in January, and literally immediately after the first week, he starts getting sick, and he gets tested for COVID 5 times. I felt awful. It wasn't COVID, and it was just some type of respiratory thing. Then my wife got sick the following week, and then I started to feel bad that next weekend. And by the time I got to me, it wasn't so bad. But now, once again, my son is starting to is sick. He started feeling sick 2 days ago on Saturday. And now I'm the first one showing the next set of symptoms, man. So my throat is all congested, groggy and shit. And I'm trying to push through the best that I can while recording this. So I apologize if things just sound like trash. But hopefully you guys enjoyed last week's episode. It was an interview with Jordan Finn, and if you haven't heard it, I do recommend going back, checking out the Dead Work anthology. The Kickstarter is still live, so definitely check that. I think he said March 14th was the last day, or it might have been March 4th, so you still got a few days to go check that out. There's a lot of cool stuff in there, especially Jordan's stuff, which I really enjoyed, so definitely check that shit out. Sorry, I have to take time to swallow to clear the gunk out of my throat. So, it's bad, guys. It's so bad. So this week we're gonna talk about something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while now, but I wanted to give people time to watch it, and that's Disney Plus's and Star Wars: The Book of Boba Fett, aka not The Mandalorian. Until it is, and then all kinds of crazy. So some of y'all who've watched it, you probably know what I'm already talking about in reference to that. Those of you who haven't watched it, spoilers will ensue, so if you don't want to be spoiled on it, this might not be the episode for you until you listen, or until you watch the series and then come back. So let's get started right meow. Alright guys, so first off, I have to say I love Disney Plus. It's probably been my favorite streaming service of the streaming services, just because the sheer amount of content that touches me like that. I was a huge Disney kid growing up. Now you got Star Wars and Marvel a part of it. It's really fantastic. And then all of a sudden there is a Korean drama on Disney Plus. What the fuck? And I was like, oh, that's cool. I've seen some cool Korean dramas on Netflix. And this one, though, on Disney Plus, is pretty good. It's like Snowdrop or Snowfall. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I'm invested already. But anyway, back to the Book of Boba Fett. So, yeah, Boba shows up, Season 2 of Mandalorian. Everyone gets hyped because he gets the armor back. He's a badass with a staff. Yeah, let's get more of that. Cut to Book of Boba Fett, which takes all the badassery of Boba Fett and decides, hey, we need to dial it down or else we won't have a story here. And that's kind of what they do, or indirectly do, by making Boba Fett a more thinker type versus a doer type. Now he's like, hey man, I want to be the crime boss. Well, we won't call it crime boss, but what do they call it? The Diado or the Derrierdo? I can't remember what the fuck they called it, but basically he's in charge on, was it Mos Eisley? I can't remember. It's somewhere. You're on Tatooine, all right, man. We know that. Well, Anakin grew up there, we know that. And Jabba the Hutt's palace is there, and that's where Boba Fett goes. And he's like, yo, man, I run this piece, and then finds out, well, don't really run this piece because I don't have a crew. And there's other shit that I need to figure out, and oh god, I gotta go talk to people and be a negotiator. And so, yeah, what's awesome about bounty hunters? When they negotiate. And that's what we really love, and pretty much happens for the first 4 episodes of the series. You do get to meet some cool people and some characters that I've seen in comic books come to life, what is his name, Black Chrysanthemum, Black Chewie, basically. He's got big black fur and a lot scarier than Chewie was. And to be fair, Chewie was very scary. So this dude is balls to the wall badass. But things, like I said, just seem kind of to drag on. You get to meet the mods, which are people who basically mod their bodies with robotic parts and upgrades and stuff. And that's how you find out, like, Boba Fett and, is it Finnick? I can't remember. What's her name's character? Oh, God. Mulan's character. I can't remember her name. Oh, shit. It'll come to me eventually one day, maybe. Probably not. Not by the end of this episode. But, yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Everyone who's a big Disney nerd. So, I was going to say Faye? No, God damn it. What's her name from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I don't know. We're just going to stick with Mulan because that's the one that I remember. So she gets, like, completely wrecked at one point, and Boba Fett finds her and saves her life by getting her modded out. Because, you know, that's cool to do against someone's will. And as long as it saves their life, right? Like, yeah, dude, like, so I found you dying when your legs were off and decided to install this really badass dinosaur leg, you know, plastic dinosaur leg. And, like, while it's not very practical, it did save your life. And now you look kind of cute with tiny dinosaur legs. So, yeah, there you go. Thanks. You're welcome. So, yeah, that happens. You meet, well, you don't. Well, you meet them through flashbacks. You find out what happened to Boba Fett after falling into the Sarlacc pit, which is exactly like Patton Oswalt said. So if you just go to Parks and Rec and look up Patton Oswalt on YouTube, you will find out the entire story of how Boba Fett comes back from the brink of death. And it's kind of badass, man. He gets his ship, which the new name escapes me. I just remember it's called Slave One. Rex all kinds of shit up with that, then for some reason forgets that he has the ship for the rest of the series because he never uses it ever again. And it's all right, dude. Like, what I really enjoyed up, like, this far into the series that I'm kind of just bouncing around from was his time with the Sand People, because this was the time that I think makes him most vulnerable and most human, you know, because up until this point, the only thing I've ever known about Boba Fett was like, oh, he's a super badass that does super badass things, and yeah, but like this really brings him down a peg, like gives him humility and makes him humble, and he rises up from that, and it's kind of cool. And it's also really great to see like an inner workings of the Sand People, because they played a big part on Tatooine and like that lifestyle, but you never really knew much about it, you know. And so getting a chance to see like this tribal community and how they communicate with each other and how they live their life in the sand is really neat, and I found actually really fascinating. And then you find out like the Pike Syndicate is like the real bad guys, and like they're the big bad of the series, I guess. And eventually you'll see another bounty hunter. I won't spoil it too much, but he's someone from like the cartoons, and he comes and they live action him. Well, he's CGI live action, but it's really badass to see his character, and got me really stoked. Of course, the Mandalorian, the Mando, he makes an appearance for the like final 3 episodes of the series, which that's when things really kick off, because I think Boba Fett really lacks something that Mando like the character of the Mandalorian brings to the table. You know, I don't know. It's hard to put my thumb on it. It's hard to really put the it factor that he brings, like, because there are 2 completely different characters, you know. Like, don't get me wrong, the Mandalorian's badass, and we know he's badass, but at the same time, it's like he's still finding himself. He's still struggling with the way versus his personal wants and feelings, where in Boba Fett, you don't feel that struggle. He's just, hey, this is what I got to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. And like, there's no issues with him trusting people or anything like that. Like, he just flat out's like, all right, let's do this. And if we can't do this, we'll throw money at it until someone else does it. Like, so it never felt like a true struggle, except for the Sand People moment. Like, when he's with the Tusken Raiders, I keep calling them Sand People, I feel bad about that. The Tusken Raiders, like, you you feel that. Like that, those were the good moments of Boba Fett, and those were what really intrigued me and got me going through this series. And it sucks that you don't get a lot of that, And then again, it's only like 7 or 8 episodes. I can't remember which. So you can only do so much that way. So you get like the backstory. You get him building his empire. Well, we call it empire, but really he brings in like 7 people. That's about it. And then the Pike Syndicate's going to shut him down, but he's going to fight back. And it's going to be all-out war apparently. And so we're getting ready for that shit. And then a bar blows up because why not? It's still in the budget. And then Mando shows up, but how, like, this is where things get awesome again. Like, Mandalorian shows up, and 2 things. One, he wants to see Baby Gru because he's got a present for him, basically his foundling gift, because he's his foundling, and he deserves a gift. But if we remember about Jedis, like, they're not really allowed to have, like, attachments. So, that's kind of like a decision Grogu's going to have to make. Does he want to go live the life of a Jedi, or does he want to, have attachment to his friend that saved his life and stuff like that? And I think which way that's going to go. But what's also really cool is Mando loses like his ship, so he needs a new one. And the one that they get is one of the starfighters from the Phantom Menace, the Naboo starfighters. And they bring that back in an awesome way. They talk about how, it's old, but it has things like the new tech can't keep up with, and it's really badass. And it looks awesome, dude. Like, it's all silver, like, doesn't have the yellow on it, and it just looks fantastic, man. The sound of it, there's some callbacks to things from episode 1. Like at one point, and everyone brings this up, like, the Mandalorian says, "Man, that was Wizard," and which is like one of Anakin's friends says that, like, "That's so Wizard, Annie." Like, so it was just like these cool little callbacks that you got from it, and just like this, like, bit of enjoyment. Like, why not give Boba Fett that chance to have, like, because they wanted to rename Slave 1 because they didn't want it to be Slave anymore, right? I remember that being a thing. Why not get rid of Slave 1, and now he has the Naboo Starfighter as his main ship, And so, like, I don't know, there's things I thought they could have done a little bit differently with Boba Fett, but they didn't. They gave all the good stuff to the Mandalorian, and so we get to see how that all plays out. The Darksaber's back in action. Rancors are back in action. And so we get to see a new outlook on how Rancors are, because they're not just bloodthirsty giant pig beasts. Like, they have feelings. They love their masters. They're very loyal. And also you can ride on top of them and kill giant droidicas. Like, that is the shit, man. And that happens, like, and that's pretty, like, the last episode is pretty awesome because it's just full-on action and shit. But also, the Mandalorian is a part of that, so that helps that action and stuff. But yeah, I mean, in the end, like, everything, kind of resolves itself without resolving itself. I forgot what's his name from Mandalorian season 2, who took Boba Fett's armor and was wearing it originally. He comes back. The townsfolk, I think they call him Freetown is the new name of the town out there. They come back and they help out Boba Fett as a debt owed to the Mandalorian, and also because they don't want, the Pike Syndicate to bring drugs through their territory either. They want to try to keep it safe for them and their families. So there's a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool callbacks and things, but ultimately, I don't know, man. Like, the Book of Boba Fett definitely had some moments that I enjoyed. I think overall, it suffered until the Mandalorian shows up. Like, and I think part of that's unfair because, one, we're all in love with the Mandalorian, and that series is so much fun. Getting to see him with his little friend Grogu, and the feelings that these two share for each other, like this friendship that they have, and how they're both trying to kind of figure themselves out, but also do what they believe is right. And, like, Grogu going to be a Jedi, and man, what is his name? Is it Din? I think Din is the Mandalorian's real name. Like, him going about the way and trying to help restore Mandalore to its rightful place. So, like, it's fun to see that struggle. It's fun to see them come together, and that is what we love so much about the Mandalorian. And when it comes to Boba Fett, you don't have any of that. Like, it feels like it's lacking in the heart, and you get that, like I said, with the Tusken Raiders. You got that. You got to see him care for others, and others care for him, and him become part of a tribe and try to teach them to advance their tribe so that they could better protect themselves and acquire things and fight back against, like, the city people who harass them and stuff. But it's only a small part of that series, which I think is why it kind of falls short to me. Like, where that's you lose the heart and the struggle with Boba Fett. I feel like, I'm not saying it's a bad series. I enjoyed it from start to finish. I think Boba Fett as a standalone just kind of lacks something that they either need to figure out in the writing if they do another series of this, or they just stop here and just make him a side character for the Mandalorian, because I think ultimately that's where he does better. Like, I feel like he's just an awesome side character that, hey, yeah, it's cool to just follow up with him and see where he's at with things. But honestly, if this is the last Boba Fett that they do, I'm not gonna cry. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, why can't I get more Boba Fett? Like, ooh, boo-hoo-hoo. Like, it'll be cool and I'll be fine with that. So yeah, I mean, as far as how I feel like the show, it's watchable. There are parts of it that I think I could rewatch, like the Mandalorian aspect of it. But ultimately, it's kind of a one and done for me. Like, that was a fun little ride. There's some cool little moments, but I'm done with it. I'm on to the next thing. I'm looking forward to Obi-Wan coming out. I'm looking forward to just new movies coming out and the Marvel stuff that's coming out. So, yeah, kind of just, it was here. I'm done thinking about it. And I just want to tell you guys, if you're on the fence, check it out. You're going to find stuff that you like about it. But if you're like, oh, this is going to be like the de facto Boba Fett storyline, I highly doubt that. I feel like you will leave this series disappointed if you feel like you're coming to get badass super stonk on Boba Fett, because, I mean, that's how I felt. But, like, some people are different than me. I think my problem with it is I am so much in love with the Mandalorian that I'm like, why not just give me more Mandalorian? Why give me this side character who is like the Mandalorian but not quite? And so I don't know. It could be I'm just sick and just so fucking tired. Anyway, hey, what do you guys think? Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on any of my social media. You can find me at Small Town Nerd. It's SM Town Nerd Podcast or Nerdcast. I can't even remember. Dude, I'm so sick. I really can't fucking remember anything. I'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, you can search all that. You can email me, Bry-Fy podcast at hotmail.com, and just let me have it. I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. But I'm sorry. I'm so lost. My nose is so stuffy and my throat's so congested. I've been trying to do this one shot without stopping, and I only had to restart twice. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good this time. Because some reason I don't know how to edit. I don't know. I'm fucking weird like that. But thank you guys for listening to the episode this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. And we will talk to you guys next week. See you later. Or what was I was trying to say? Like, oh, I'm a small nerd in a big world or something. I don't know. It's stupid shit. We'll figure something new out eventually.